Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to each one of you. Happy Sunday. My name is Randy Schrader. It is a privilege, it's an honor for me to share with you in the next 25 to 30 minutes information that is among the most important I've ever received in my business and in personal careers. I believe this could be that important to you as well. What exactly is Lev AI? This is a brand new company. One does not, however, suffer the risks associated with the new company. Why? Because there's something about Lev AI, and that stands for leveraging artificial intelligence, which is important enough that this company found its way into the portfolio of companies owned by a gentleman named Terry LaCour. In fact, it was his spark of brilliance, his ability to see the future that said perhaps we should teach the world about the oncoming advent of artificial intelligence and we should make it available to all. We therefore have an opportunity to be at the absolute genesis, at the foundation, at the beginning of this initiative, and yet not suffer the risks typically a part of that. Because why? Because we operate in the ecosystem and under the incredible corporate umbrella of Terry LaCour, a man who's very easy to research to discover who exactly he is and what his capabilities are. I'm also so very thrilled to know that our company has as a daily operations manager my son, Blake Schrader, who was recently named as the president of the company. I, of course, take great pride and satisfaction and joy in that, as you would were he your son. But I also am so very happy about that because of my entrepreneurial experience, because I know that when the person managing the company has his roots in entrepreneurship, Blake was raised in my home. He understands the sacrifices that people make to break through, and he understands the importance of honoring those sacrifices many years later, once the foundation has been successfully built upon by others. Blake has deep knowledge in managing large, successful network marketing organizations and in growing them. Blake is an attorney, has been chief counsel for a very large direct selling company, and has in fact lived in Israel, in Portugal, in Brazil in his careers managing very large enterprises. Blake's most recent success was as the CEO of a company called Medical Marijuana Incorporated, which he guided through the remarkable period of time, which coincided with the end of the prohibition of cannabis in the United States and many parts of the world. And while there, he successfully launched a direct selling company that was my joy to build with him. Blake's non-compete agreement has just expired, making him eligible to lock arms, to join hands with Mr. LaCour, and with those of us who seek to build a business, those of us on the rawest form of entrepreneurship, the most pure form of entrepreneurship, I believe, home-based business, micro enterprise, solopreneurs, we have the opportunity to operate under the ecosystem of Terry LaCour and under the daily guidance of Blake. And what exactly is it that we seek to do? Well, it says, welcome to Lev AI. The future is in your hands, the future in your hands right now by bringing accessible artificial intelligence to the world. In order to perceive the future, sometimes it's important to review the past. And I reflect on an experience that I had in about 1982. I had a friend named Andy K, and Andy started a company called K Pro Computers. Started just about the very same time as Apple Computers, and Andy believed that he would occupy the space in humanity that Stephen Jobs wound up occupying. But I remember that conversation. It was the first time that I had seen a computer box on a desk, and Andy could see the future. I could not. Andy's vision went to and beyond 2025, clear back in 1982. My vision went to how quickly could I get to the coffee shop that day? That's the truth. And the fact is that I couldn't see it. I could not see that ultimately we would all, self included, be required to adopt computerization. It was not really one of my choices, nor was it yours. The choice that I had and that you had, whether or not we recognized it, was not a choice of whether we would use that would be required by society. The question is, would we become a conduit to other people's use? Would we become a catalyst in causing that major shift in society, the globalization of computerization? Would we become a conduit to other people's use? I did not. Perhaps you did, but probably not, because if you did, then you would today be among the wealthiest people in the world and likely not on this session. I had another opportunity, and so did some of you. If you're anywhere near my age, we had another bite at that apple when a couple of years later the internet came along. And I remember as I had my first dial-up modem, and I'm waiting indefinitely, it seemed like, for a website to open. Once again, my field of vision was to here. I could see from here to my computer screen. I couldn't see that one day the entire world would be required to adopt, would be required, and that therefore I, as part of a global society, would likewise be required to adopt. And so I did. but did I become a conduit to other people's adoption? Was I able to see the future like Andy did? Everyone is going to be required to do this. Randy, you have a chance to be the cause, to be the catalyst, to cause that to happen a little quicker. But I didn't see it. Today I do. We now do, in fact, have the future in our hands, yours and mine, in ours. We don't seek to simply bring artificial intelligence to that segment of society who would be technically enthused, or to that segment of society who are professional marketers. No, we bring it to everyone, accessible artificial intelligence. And when you contemplate and consider, as we start this conversation, how big is the possibility? Just as everyone on this planet was required to adopt computerization or be left behind, just as we were all required to adopt the internet or be left behind, as we speak, we are being required to adopt artificial intelligence. And now, at this moment, at the beginning of our conversation, and again at the end of our conversation, we get to ask ourselves, and will we be the cause for other people embracing this concept a little sooner, or will we simply use ourselves? Those are the two choices. And we've already welcomed Blake. Now, as I contemplate some of these thoughts, if these statements were not being made by some of the most influential people in the world, I would think that they were a little bit off. Here is Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, without question, one of the most influential people in the world of tech and business. And he states that AI, artificial intelligence, is more profound than fire or electricity or anything we've done in the past. What an amazing statement. What that means is look back over your shoulder at the greatest success you've achieved up until now in your life. That success was made possible by then existent knowledge and by then existent technology. If what is now in our hands is more profound than fire or electricity or anything we've done in the past, then that suggests that our successes in the future can dwarf those of the past. And that is what gives me such joy. And here we see the deepest mind at DeepMind, Demis Hassabis, stating that the difference here with artificial intelligence is it's going to be 10 times bigger than the Industrial Revolution and maybe 10 times faster. Now, once again, were these not some of the most brilliant men acknowledged to be so? If these were not acknowledged to be among the most brilliant men, we might look at these statements and say, what in the world are these guys thinking? But given who they are and given the clarity of their thought and vision, then I would suggest that each of you join me in the idea. We should look carefully with a discerning eye and perhaps critically at all possibilities, but at this one, we should look quickly because literally, not just figuratively, literally, like each grain of sand through the hourglass from the top of the bottom. There go those moments of opportunity and the chance that we have right now to be the conduit through which others enter into the world of artificial intelligence, and in so doing, change everything about our futures. AI should not be feared, it should be harnessed. And here we see that 61% of professional marketers use AI already, but what are they using? This mixed matched bag of goods, this application, which doesn't talk to this one, 4, 5, 6, 7 different subscriptions trying to accomplish a single task. And of course, it's a small percentage of society who would self describe or be described by others as professional marketers. But you see, 61% of professional marketers are attempting to use AI now. What percentage of professional marketers are you supposed to use the internet? Well, 100%. That's the percent who will use AI. What's the percentage of professional marketers who use computers? 100%. That's the percentage who will use AI. But now, in a broader thing, what percentage of society consider themselves to be professional marketers? About 2%, 1%. You see, 3, 4, 5% of the global population has already embraced or is trying to embrace the advent of artificial intelligence. It's going to be 100%, folks. That's our opportunity. Our next opportunity is reflected in that number. It says there's a 38% increase in sales productivity when people are using AI enhanced CRMs, one of the facets of artificial intelligence made possible in the Lev AI solution. This actually identifies the problem. If this is more profound than fire or electricity or anything we've done in the past, then is a 38% increase in sales, is that reflective of that? To me, it doesn't sound like it. Not if this is more profound than fire or electricity. That should be 380. It should be 3,800. It should be 38,000% increase in sales productivity if it's more profound than anything we've done in the past. And so you see, our opportunity is not to simply introduce AI. Our opportunity is to illustrate to others how they can properly leverage it and gain the full value of the possibilities. And those 80% of entrepreneurs currently using or trying to use AI, saying it gives them a competitive edge, once again, that is the problem, folks. It will be 100%. It will be. And it will not just be a modest edge, it will be an absolutely monumental edge. Lev AI, this company, the concept is what? Leveraging artificial intelligence. That is the concept. And making artificial intelligence available to all, not just to professional marketers, making it all available to all, not just techno wizards. The concept is to make artificial intelligence available to all. The company, Lev AI, makes it simple for entrepreneurs to launch, market, and grow businesses. There are multiple problems that the growing, blossoming, or at least sprouting AI world faces, and they can be determined this way, described this way. It is a mixed bag, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. This application and this subscription and corresponding cost for customer relationship management. This application and subscription and corresponding cost to grow my social media presence, and on and on and on it goes. What we seek to do, and in fact will do very shortly, I'm talking about a handful of days from now, introduce a global solution accessible to you. We know that there are some uniquenesses to each enterprise, to each business, but there are many more similarities than there are differences. Many more similarities. I think of the fact there are 388 small businesses in the world, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, mom and pop shops, home-based businesses. They all want some of the same things. They would like to have more customers. That's what we all need. They would like more customers, more users, more subscribers, more buyers, more consumers. They would like to extend the lifespan of every customer relationship to perhaps permanent. They would like to increase the gross margins and net margins of each transaction. They would like to make the utilization of the product and service more profitable for the one delivering the service and for the one using it. You will find, as you come to understand the unique combination of offerings made here at Levi AI, how and why all of those issues are addressed in one solution. Creates confidence about what to say to each candidate and prospect throughout the engagement process, and that removes the barriers which cause people to feel stuck. Now, over the course of my career, which has been a remarkably successful one, I have never, like not ever, not once, encountered a person who has done that which is required to accomplish the task or to win or to succeed. I've never seen one do that which is required to succeed, but do it poorly and therefore fail. Sadly, what I have observed are countless people, so many, who have simply not done that which was required to succeed. They felt stuck. Typically stuck behind what? Behind a wall of doubts, fears, and insecurities. We can remove all of those issues which cause a person to stay stuck, which results in an increased number of the correct revenue producing activities, whatever your business methodology is. There's a certain few revenue producing activities, and if people engage in them, then they will have the positive result. Most frequently, it is because people don't engage, and most frequently, they feel stuck, frozen behind a wall of fear. And down here it says removes the fear of failure. How shall we do that? By eliminating the incidence of failure, by introducing Lev AI. That is how we shall do that. Multiple challenges, a single solution. Today, it's absolutely true. It is evident that one can measure future results, future profitability, and future productivity by measuring one's influence. And one can measure once again, one can measure future results by measuring current influence, and one can measure current influence by measuring social media presence. Just as I was there when the first computerization phenomenon was beginning, when that egg was hatching, just as I was there when the very first pecks on the shell of the internet were there and it was beginning to hatch, so was I there when the first social media networks were formed. And I simply participated. I let them grow as they chose to grow. And today I've got this pathetic little social media presence. I've had a lot of successes in my life, some that defy logic for me. And there are people with successes similar to mine who have millions of social media contacts. They made a decision I did not. I'm making one now, and I'm hoping you do too. We can grow each participant's social media presence, and it can happen as a matter of course, not something that will demand any utilization of your time. How? Well, I want to sidetrack here a little bit and say that it's my belief that many, if not most people who use our solution will find a net negative, a net cost of less than zero. You say, well, Randy, how can it cost less than zero? Well, if you're currently using a CRM, customer relationship management software tool, you're probably spending more for just that tool than you'll spend for our entire suite. And you no longer need it. And so you can eliminate that cost. The great news is that what you want from a CRM, our solution provides, but it provides more. Every time you do a simple screenshot import to that CRM, then something magic will happen. Your AI solutions included in Levi will begin immediately searching and scanning the social media profiles of each person you imported into your customer relationship management software. And now you'll begin to learn what's interesting and what they want to know, what's interesting to them and what they want to know. I remember I had a wake up call about a decade into my career of attempting to build teams and not accomplishing quite what I wanted. And I realized that, in fact, what I had been doing for that decade was trying to cause others to do something I wanted them to do for my benefit. That's what I was trying to do. Trying to cause you to do what I wanted you to do for my benefit. Well, that's faulty thinking. One day I woke up and no, Ray, that's not it. You've got to figure out what other people want or what they want to do, and then be a conduit to their accomplishing that which they want to accomplish. Don't try to provoke them to do something you want, Randy. Find what they want to do and help them do it, and help them do it at economic advantage. That required that I learn how to listen. You'll start listening and hearing with much greater clarity when all of a sudden your AI solution starts scanning the social media presence of each candidate you import and telling you what they want, when they want it, and when they want it, granting you the opportunity to engage in conversations they want to engage in, as opposed to trying to provoke people to engage in a conversation that you want to engage in. And suddenly people won't feel stuck. And suddenly they won't feel like they're walking through slowly drying concrete. And then Cicero will again be borne out when he said years ago, the skill to do comes from the doing. And if one develops new skill, one has more confidence. More confident leads to more poise, to more correct self-esteem. And suddenly we've grown a person as a result of utilizing the technology we provide. We're actually growing people. We can take a person who is a bit of a wallflower and over the course of a couple of years, help that person blossom into the one where they walk into the room and the worm gravitates towards them. That is inclusive in the LevAI solution. Instantly build websites, no longer spending money at it. I've done it myself already utilizing the solution. About 7 clicks, click, 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 a fully published site on the World Wide Web with no associated costs, such as one would have utilizing a tech firm. I think, I don't know, but I think I've determined how and why it is that so many wonderful, good people who could succeed stay stuck. And I think it can be reduced to this. It is that most people who become entrepreneurs, they first started as an employee, and then they found out that's not where they belong. You see, an employment situation is one that has some degrees of comfort in it. Why? Because it has boundaries that we stay within. We're told when to go to work and where we'll go to work, and we're told with whom we'll work, to whom we'll report, what reports we'll fill out, and on and on. We have borders that are created by the employment situation. Sometimes those borders don't fit us. Sometimes the shoe doesn't fit. It's a little too tight. See, I want to work where I want, when I want, with whom I want, and if I want. And I want to establish my own worth in the marketplace, not have an employer do that. I've never seen that in a job description. And since that doesn't exist in a job description, then I must gravitate towards entrepreneurship. But in making that movement from employment to entrepreneur, what has occurred? I've gone from being reactive to the demands of the employer to being proactive. I must perceive in advance and provoke the behaviors that grow my business. Having a steady daily prompt would have been of such immeasurable worth to so many people in my organizations over the years. The daily prompt, that 700 million people logged into Chat GPT over the course of the last week, what were they looking for? Answers. They were looking for solutions. They got good answers, but they didn't get great answers. Why? Well, because they got generic answers. What if, as opposed to a generic Chat GPT, imagine now your utilization of your personalized GPT, which guides you specifically through the business building behaviors that are prescribed by your coach, your teacher, your leader, step by step. It's day two, and day two should be filled with the following behaviors. Have you done this one yet? If not, do so now. Push send so your coach knows. The coach receives a message. Your newest member has not completed the assignment given yesterday. Push send, provoke the behavior, steadily guiding a person back closer to what I call the center line. Among other things in my life, I fly airplanes and I have an instrument rating. And that means that sometimes I fly in the clouds and that sometimes I fly an instrument landing approach is called an ILS down through the clouds. I want to get right over the center of the runway at the center line over the threshold, constantly course correcting to the center line to stay safe. In our business, constant corrections to keep your newest member on the center line, coming from your AI resources, growing their confidence, their knowledge, their skill, ultimately part of an extraordinary leadership development process that begins the moment one starts utilizing the solution. And now I consider this. The transition from reactivity to proactivity would be made so much easier with a middle ground. And what is the middle ground? I have strayed away from lead generation programs in my career simply because I've been hesitant to have people spend money for something that might not work. But if there is no added cost, if there's a lead program inclusive in your membership, then isn't it true that one would find this middle ground? I can no longer be reactive to the demands of my employer. Maybe I'm a little bit afraid to become proactive immediately, but suddenly I've got 100 people who have asked me for information. Randy, you have knowledge that I want to have. Can you tell me about? Is that not an incredibly easier situation than me standing here looking at a name on a sheet of paper and trying to decide how to engage that person in a conversation? The monthly lead program will have as much to do with causing people to develop the skill, which results in increased confidence, which results in increased poise and self esteem, and therefore creates the emergence of a new leader. The monthly lead program will add as much to that process as anything, in my estimation. I think that's one of the key reasons that we'll have such a dramatically larger percentage of people accomplish their objectives. There's a lot to this, folks, a lot we've talked about already, and there's, of course, more. Every plan includes your own AI twin, an avatar that looks like you, acts like you, it talks like you until it starts speaking in languages that you don't understand, 150 of them. The company will, now this is Randy Schrader speaking. This is not Terry LaCour. I don't own the company. This is not Blake. I'm not the president of the company. I am an independent participant in the sales network, just as you are or can be. And so I'm not now making an announcement. I am telling you that it's my belief the company will go live, that we'll be fully operational sometime between the 10th and the 15th of September. We're talking a very short handful of days. When the company goes live, one will then need to spend $19 for an annual membership and acquire either the basic or the pro package. The basic package will cost $49. The pro package will cost $99. There is an ongoing monthly subscription of those same amounts. What will be included? Your AI video twin, your likeness, your voice, speaking your script flawlessly in 150 languages. And you can even use your personalized GPT to create the script to provoke the engagement. Personalized writing assistant to do what? Part of the process in growing social media presence to provoke, to write the post that creates the like, which leads to the next interaction and a gradual development of a broader, bigger social media presence. That is a process, not an event. 2 or 3 years from now, you will be stunned at the change in your influence and the change in your market value as a result of you letting these tools do what they do. Multiple profiles for those who have more than one message to deliver. If we have more than one message, then we would need to have more than one set of dialogue loaded into our digital twin. AI powered social growth and enrichment so that we know what our candidate wants to talk about. CRM with screenshot import. And this, once again, telling us everything our candidate wants to know so we respond to their need. Instant web builders with no added cost. Enhanced CRM with professional funnels to guide your candidate, whether they came from the lead program or whether they came from the world out there at large who observed in you something they wanted to see and said, tell me what makes you so happy. Now you get a chance to respond. Why? Because of a process that made you happier. And somebody said, what's going on for you? That's what works for me. And now a step-by-step process that guides that candidate from whencever they came, that guides them through that proved and predictable pattern of activities leading each one to making whatever is the correct decision for him or her. And then, almost giddy as I contemplate the idea of 2 billion searchable leads, granting to each person the chance to gather knowledge and develop skill in this middle ground, operating between reactivity and proactivity. And then, folks, if all else were equal, and it's not, but if all else were equal, this would be all that I would have to know. For those of you who have invested your lives in gathering knowledge that is of value to other people, but who have been frustrated with the inability to get that message delivered on a widespread basis, here's the solution: an interactive, actually conversant version of you, a digital version of you. I imagine my 50 years of entrepreneurial and leadership development content all loaded into a digital version of me. See, there's only one place that I can be, and I'm in that place right now. But the digital version of me can be every place at once. I only speak one language, but the digital version of me speaks every language that I want it to. The best of you everywhere in the world, 24 hours a day, in every language, culturally correct. This takes the lid off. I'm not talking about a gradual shift in productivity. That's why that 38%, that means people don't know what they're doing. It needs to be 38,000%. This is a bit of brilliance, and it is something that will allow you to separate yourself from literally anyone else in the markup. Truly unmatched value. Gone are the days when a home-based business would deliver a product that costs more, and that the entrepreneur has to try to explain that away. No, now finally, we offer a product, or will next week, a product and a group of solutions that are robust, that would be appropriate for any professional marketer, but which are so easily understood they can be embraced by the entire global community who must embrace AI as they were compelled to embrace computerization and as they were compelled to embrace the internet. And at the very moment they're being compelled to embrace AI, they are going to reduce costs of doing business by greater than the cost of acquisition. And what is the market opportunity? Well, folks, today, what percentage of people on planet Earth use AI? About 3%. What percent are going to? 100. That's the market opportunity. The same percentage of people who use computers, that's the percent who will use AI. The same percent who use the internet, that's the percent who will use AI. What percentage of those people will walk through that door because you showed them the door? That's the opportunity. It's big. It's a lot bigger than you're probably thinking when you logged on here today. And so, in my estimation, we arrive at a point where really we have only two choices. The choice has already been made for us whether we will adopt AI. That choice has been made, and we are going to adopt, happening as we speak. The two choices we're going to make is: are we simply going to use like I used a computer? Are we just going to use like I use the internet? Are we just going to use, like I began to in a all things paltry little way, use social media networks? Or are we going to become a catalyst in causing that which is destined to occur more quickly? Are we going to be the one who introduces to another that possibility? Well, if you introduce to another the possibility and they say, yes, I want that $50 package, you'll get paid 25 bucks. I want that $100 package because that's what's best for my business and my life. Okay, great. You get paid 50. And there's no limit to how many times you can do that. In fact, in the last 21 days, I've now done that 117 times. And so one can make some money just doing that. It's pure transaction. You make the introduction, somebody says, yes, that's what I want, and you get paid. You're used to that. It's important to note that there is no artificial dilution of the money that comes into the company. In so many micro enterprise businesses, you'll see a certain dollar value for the product or service, but only a portion of that dollar value going into the compensation plan. They call it PV, BV, CV. We don't do that. Cash in is what is applied to the comp plan. Now, there are people, I know some, who've had a moment in the sun, their 15 minutes of fame. They caught a Super Bowl pass, a touchdown pass, or they won Britain's Got Talent, or they made a hole in one on TV, something that caused them to have notoriety. People know their name, people respond to their message. They're called influencers. If there are, and by the way, if you are an influencer, I have a friend who won Dancing with the Stars. She has more than 20 million fans, followers. She was also in a movie with Tom Cruise, starred in a starring role. Millions and millions and millions of followers, and they want to wear the lipstick that she wears. They want to take care of their hair the way that she does. When she influences them to use a product, she earns a commission. That's what she does. She doesn't want to build teams. This is designed for that exact thing. You see, she has 20 million followers. Those 20 million followers are all going to use AI. If she further leverages her influence by being the conduit to their use, then she will earn 20% of their ongoing monthly fees for as long as their subscription is active. And so this is a way to get paid again for the good things you've done before that caused that notoriety. That would be that influencer type income, 20% of cash. Now, there are others of you who, like me, have invested your lives and career in building teams. And so here we see an 8 generation deep unilevel, a compensation structure you may be familiar with. Note that it's as I just described, 20% on Gen 1, but then 4% through an additional 7 generations. And remember, that's 4% of cash, not of some diluted figure. The infinity bonus. Whenever an idea is right, the market immediately tells us it's right. How does it tell us? By adoption. So it was 21 days ago, 22 days ago now, that we had our first conversation introducing people to this process. Yesterday was the biggest day yet. The day before yesterday was the biggest day yet. The day before that was the biggest day yet. Yesterday, we had 1,400 people join this company in a day. Yesterday, a very rapid flow of new member applications. In fact, in the last 21 days, we have now eclipsed 13,800 people in this business in the last 21 days. Well, that assembly of talent outpaces the assembly of leadership to teach the talent. And that's why there must be an infinity bonus that incents leadership to work indefinitely, not stopping at any arbitrary block of volume, but working indefinitely until a leg is validated and made secure by the emergence of another leader, no matter how deep one has to go. And so when one reaches the bottom of that 8 generation unilevel payout, if you're living at the top of the plan, evidenced by you being in the top rank, that 4% payout simply continues indefinitely until it begins intersecting people at similar ranks. The matching bonus, critically important. Once again, cash based. And now imagine that you enroll Tom, who enrolls Sue, who enrolls John, who enrolls Bill. That would be 4 generations of enrollment tree. Whenever anyone in your enrollment tree, generation 1, 2, 3, or 4, earns an acquisition bonus, you get a matching bonus. When they earn an infinity bonus, you get a matching bonus. When they earn a team commission, you get a matching bonus. Folks, it is evident to me that the largest checks in the history of micro enterprise, home based business, solopreneur, they're going to come from this company. Why do I say that? Not because of the construct of the comp plan, it's extraordinarily lucrative. No, it's because of the market potential. My my career has been amazing when I've done $5 billion, 5 billion US dollars in sales in my organizations, not in the companies I've been with, in my groups, in my enrollment trees. And that's always been with a product, an idea, a concept that would impact 3 or 4 or 5% of people. Now that's all changed. 3 or 4 or 5% of people in the world are already using AI. It's the other 97% to whom we will bring accessible AI. I've lived my life in that 2, 3, 4%, and I've done really well in that. But now we propose to each of us the opportunity to lead the artificial intelligence future with this remarkable company, Lev AI. And we're not talking about 3 or 4 or 5%. We're talking about everyone. The lid comes off. And so I pose to you the question, are you ready to lead the AI future or just participate in it because we have no choice? The participation part's already assured. We will participate. The question is, will we guide others to that participation and therefore have a different kind of an outcome? If you have not yet become a part of this community, please do. 1,400 people did yesterday because they saw what you just saw. And it's only going to be a matter of a few days. It's going to be a lot bigger number because that which we now talk about as being realities in 10 days. 10 days go by fast, folks. They're going to become present realities. I'm going to ask Larry Lane to chime in here and tell me what he finds most important, intriguing, and give folks guidance. By the way, Larry's one of those people. He's one of those influencer guys. People say, Larry Lane, no kidding. But he's also one of those building guys. You see, you don't have to be one or the other. All inclusive. Larry, talk to folks.
Hey, Randy, absolutely incredible job always. Yeah, I'm just excited. My team's excited. It's Sunday morning. We got about 100 people on the Zoom. There's a lot of people that are looking for Lev AI. So really, really excited to be here. What I'll say is just like Randy, I've just shared this. I started with a couple of leaders. They called on, and I think we're going to hit 11,000 anytime now, almost in our team. So very excited. But what I will say with AI is, I was just at a birthday party in Long Beach on Friday night. The gentleman at the table, not a network marketer. He owns insurance firms. He owns like 15 firms all over Southern California. He was talking about, he wanted to get in the Spanish market. He wanted to do things to bring more Spanish people into his business. I showed him the technology of me speaking Spanish with the AI technology, and he's absolutely coming on board. He's like, that is exactly what I need. He's like, so you mean I can load in my commercials, my infomercials, and have it speak in Spanish as me? And I said, absolutely. That's what the technology does. So it's just a matter of sharing it with people. And I'll say again, nobody is going to lose anything for free. It speaks volumes that the company, they've already showed us the AI twin, which is absolutely incredible. I sent that to my people that are over in Turkey of me speaking Turkish, and they said it literally is like you were born here. That's how good the translation was of what you said. So we've got something life changing here. It's absolutely free. Terry and them, they're going to let us see the technology. They're going to show us more features over the next couple of weeks before we launch. So to be able to see it before we have to spend a penny, that absolutely speaks volumes to where we are. I know Terry personally. I know that when Terry puts his hat in the ring, big things are going to happen. So that literally, you attach to something like that because it's going to be huge. But yeah, just seeing my leaders win, people that I've been with for 20, 30 years, so excited. They're building the business. Their teams are growing. They'll text me, hey, I just went over 400 people on my team. Hey, I just went over 1,000 people on my team. That is a win. And that started literally, I jumped on a Zoom 21 days ago with 30 people. I signed a non-disclosure. Randy popped up and I said, I'm in. I know I'm going to go in. And then I saw it was AI. I said, look, this will help me in my current business that I'm a co-owner in. This will help somebody if they're doing crypto travel, whatever it is. So absolutely go out there, send out some messages today. It's as simple as, hey, AI technology, you're going to be able to learn how to use it with this company. You're going to be able to make money by sharing it and building the membership. Take a free spot right now and you'll get the first VIP look. If you sent that out to 20 people today, I guarantee you'd have 5 people sign up for free just to take a look because everybody's interested in AI. And Randy, I'll say one more thing. This is a lot of people miss Bitcoin. I remember when Bitcoin, my dad, I think I was a teenager, he showed me, hey, this thing's like 25 cents. Should I buy some? And I was like, absolutely. There's probably a Bitcoin wallet somehow where my dad's got right now with billions of dollars in it that I can't access. But we kind of miss the Bitcoin craze. A lot of us miss the internet craze. We are not going to miss the AI craze, and it's going to be the biggest one, I think, of the three. So, Randy, I'm excited, buddy. I'll turn it back to you.
And it make me smile, Larry. So the folks, this morning I also smiled because when I woke up this morning, I was listening to what Larry said last night, right before I went to sleep. I'm going to sleep. Last night I sent out a handful of texts, and this morning when I woke up, I had personally enrolled 4 people as a result of sending out those texts last night. I enrolled one person in the United States. I enrolled one in Greece. I enrolled one in Nigeria, and I enrolled one in Mexico. That had all happened between midnight last night and 6 a.m. this morning when I woke up. And it happened because I sent 22 texts out, and out of those 22, so far, 17 have responded, all wanting more information, but 4 just said, I'm in, send me the app. Folks, don't make this more difficult than it is. People are looking for what we have if we simply give them an idea of what the future holds. Larry, thank you a lot for being here. Everybody have the best Sunday yet. Tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern, we're going to do this again, and I'd like nothing more than to help you launch a business. God bless everybody. Have the best day. Thanks, Larry. Bye bye.